F123 My Team Career Mode Season 4, Round number 4, the Imola Grand Prix. So we're back. Sorry it's been such a long time since I've done one of these videos or uploaded on the channel at all. I've had some videos on BeamNG Drive that haven't gone to plan. I don't think I want to be continuing with that series because for some reason my computer just does not want to record BeamNG. It just screws up every time I record it. Don't seem to have that issue for other games, but BeamNG seems to be a big issue. I was recording another kind of PS2 game thing, but that wasn't very interesting and I wasn't enjoying that, so that's now been canned off as well. So now we're back with F123. It was about 3 weeks since I'd last played this game, so I was a little bit rusty in this one, so apologies for that, but it all worked out not too bad in the end. But yeah, I do apologize for the lack of videos. It's going to be a bit all over the place, I think, for a while. I'm kind of in that stage again where I'm a bit more interested in making videos for my other channel at the moment. I will keep going with the F123 videos, but just kind of at a probably fairly, sporadic level. Looking at R&D going into this race, we've actually managed to jump ahead of McLaren coming into round 4 here. So that is good. It's still very, very close between, basically my team back to Ferrari there, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. Aston Martin still a considerable way ahead of the rest of us at the moment, but we can see how we go, see if we can catch up to them. So far Aston Martin have won all 3 races so far. George Russell winning all 3 of those as well, so he has already got a pretty healthy lead in this championship, so we'll have to see how that goes for the rest of this season. After this race we will be a quarter of the way through the season, so we'll see how that all goes. Q1 here, as I said, a little bit off the pace, I'm gonna say, because it had been about 3 weeks since I did the last race in Australia, I think, was it? Or I think it might be Australia, I can't really remember, but yeah, as you can see down in P13 there, so not the best lap time for me. And then Q2 comes around and Q2 was a mess. So have a look at a few clips here. So first lap I go to do, we come across De Vries in the Mercedes into turn 1. We very nearly go into him, so that loses us a lot of time through turn 1. Basically it destroys our lap. We go on to the next lap, and then we have Leclerc in the Ferrari ahead of us, and he slows us down even more than De Vries does, so that completely screws that lap over. Next time around, Hamilton there, that didn't really lose us too much time, but then look at all these cars on the minimap there. There are so many cars. We end up just completely losing out there, and that was a complete waste as well. So it is on to this final lap here. This is my 4th and final chance at a lap here in Q2. We're currently P13. As you can see, we've got Bottas in the Alfa Romeo ahead of us. He's a little bit of a way ahead of us at the moment, but he's in a much slower car than us, and we are almost guaranteed to catch him at the start here. And as you can see, we are already quite a bit down on our time through Sector 1 here, because basically that first lap was going, that previous lap was going pretty well. Hamilton didn't really slow me down. It was when we got to here and we had the rest of the cars ahead of us that this part here really slowed me down. So as you can see, read through the first sector, but then almost 3/10 made, over 3/10 now through that next section there, because this is where I got slowed down so much by the other cars. Bottas still ahead of us. We are catching up to them though. I think we've got De Vries, the car behind us here, who are also slowing down quite considerably. As you can see, we're so much quicker than Bottas, and now it hasn't really affected us for this first kind of 2/3 of the lap. These final couple of corners, he is really going to affect us because he's going to be so much slower on these last couple of corners. And as we try to get the power down, get as much of a tow from him as we can, we are going to cross the line, but I don't think it's going to be enough. No, it's not. It's P12 for us. We are out in Q2 for what I believe is the first time this season, partly because I was a little bit out of practice, but also I got so unlucky with traffic in pretty much every lap in Q2. I had traffic of some kind. So yeah, I think without Bottas there, we would have probably just maybe scraped through, but it is close. De Vries also are out there with us. I mean, it is so close from kind of my team back to Ferrari. So yeah, we're outside the top 10 for the race, but let's see what we can do.
Welcome once again to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari. The clue's in the name. This is very much Ferrari home turf, and the locals will be out in force today to support their team in what we hope will be a magnificent spectacle of motorsport. On then to the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Unlike most Formula One tracks, Imola is driven anti-clockwise and offers our drivers today just over 3 miles of glistening wet tarmac to negotiate. It's made up of a roughly equal split of 9 right-hand turns and 10 left-hand. Watch the drivers on the way into turn 16. Managing their speed there will be crucial, with the rain only adding to the difficulty of that downhill braking section, which then, of course, leads into the track's longest straight, though no DRS there today, of course. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Alex Albon leads us away from pole position, and starting next to them is George Russell. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Hamilton, Oscar Piastri, Norris, Iwasa, Sainz, Verstappen, Tsunoda, Davies, Gasly, Drugovich, Sargent, Bottas, Ocon, Joe, Magnussen, Liam Lawson, Leclerc, Doohan, De Vries, and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Anthony Davidson is alongside me, as usual, for today's race. Now, I want to ask you about Lewis Hamilton. That was a great podium in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
Alright, so thanks to grid penalties for Leclerc and De Vries ahead of me, we are actually starting P10 in this race, and as you can see, it is very wet here in Imola. The rain is coming down. I have got a mostly dry setup, however I've tuned a couple of things to suit me a little bit more in these wet conditions, and it's been a decent enough start from us actually, getting a jump on a couple of cars ahead of us. We're side by side with Verstappen as we go into turn 1 here, trying to stay on the outside. He just about gives us enough room, and we managed to get ahead of him and up into P8. You can see there behind Drugovich is up to P10 as well, so he's had a very good start in the Williams. Maybe there's a chance for points for him today in that Williams car. As we continue on, still in 8th place here, Lando Norris, the car ahead of us now in the McLaren. It has been a decent start, like you might have seen though. Alexander Albon, my teammate, got pole position, so big difference in pace in qualifying between myself and my teammate. Unfortunately, this time it is the other way to what it had been the previous 3 races where we out-qualified him. I believe we out-qualified him in all 3 previous races, but great stuff from Albon to be up there when I am not, as we get a very good run up this hill, but just we can't go for anything on Norris at this point in time. Right up behind him here, accident waiting to happen there if you brake too late, go too aggressive into that corner. We've just got to stick behind him for now. There are plenty of laps in this race, and in these wet conditions anything can happen, so I've just got to try and keep my car where it is. It's been a good start for us, getting up to P8 already, starting P10, qualifying P12, so effectively we've only made 2 positions, but with the penalties we've made up 4 positions from where we qualified, so in a much better position already in this race. Having a little look at Oscar Piastri, who started 4th, he got a pretty good start here alongside Lewis Hamilton, is already going past Lewis Hamilton as they head into turn 1. He's going to have a go at the current championship leader, George Russell, round the outside of him, and he does get past Russell up into 2nd place for Oscar Piastri. It's a very good start to the race for him. Russell, the winner of the last 3 races, currently down in 3rd place. As we continue on, and we have, that is Felipe Drugovich, who is being overtaken by one of the Ferraris of, I believe, Yuki Tsunoda, who had a bit of a poor start, lost the position to Drugovich, has now got that position back again though, so Drugovich unfortunately already back out of the points again, but it is a long race. Leclerc, after a alright qualifying, but unfortunately a grid penalty, is now having to fight his way up from, I believe, starting 19th in this race. He's now going side by side with Kevin Magnussen in the AlphaTauri, and Leclerc, with the superior pace in that Ferrari, gets past him, but he's got a long way to go if he wants to even get points in this race. Magnussen also struggling a little bit, keeping a few cars behind here. He's ahead of his teammate, but he has got a Haas right behind him, of course, his old team, but he goes for a spin round in the first sector of the track. No damage, thankfully, but he lets everybody pass with that spin. Very unfortunate for Magnussen there in the AlphaTauri. We sense a little bit of a move on Norris here as he is slow up the hill. We're going to power around the outside of him, go onto the brakes. We're a bit too late on the brakes, wheels on the curb there, and we're just going to drift that out wide because I really dove for it there and felt like that was a little bit cheap, a little bit unfair to go for the move there. So I kind of went wide, let Norris back pass. We'll try and get that move done again because I think we are faster than the McLaren. Nick de Vries, another driver like Leclerc, trying to make his way through the order after a grid penalty. He's going for a move on, I believe, Liam Lawson in the Haas. Lawson, though, trying to hang on here. Very nice moves through turn one there. I think they're still side by side, but no, de Vries does just about manage to get past the Haas driver up another position, but he is a fair way back from points here as well, starting all the way in 21st place, but then he's gone for a spin just after he's overtaken Lawson. De Vries spins the car round, and he is now right down the back again. Oh, poor de Vries. He is not having the best start to this season. He has scored a few points at least, but definitely nothing like his teammates. As we continue on with Norris, we didn't go for a move into that corner this time. We get a good run down to the next section, but he's not going to give us any room as we go through that very fast right-hand corner. I mean, to be fair, we weren't really alongside him, so he had, he was allowed to cut us off, but yeah, almost ended up on the grass for me there. Same goes as we head into turn one. Norris, very aggressive, very defensive here, but it's good to have races like this because it is more exciting. You can see the pace we have on Norris. We make him go a little bit defensive into that next corner. We're going to try and get the better run here, and we are. Can we do anything down here? This is a very difficult place to overtake, especially in the rain. We're not going to go for it there, but we are going to try and get the better run because I seem to get such a better run up this part of the track here, and sure enough, once again, we're going to do what we tried to do a few laps ago where we outbraked ourselves, brake a little bit earlier this time. Norris still alongside, but this time we managed to get past him. It's not a massive lunge. We stay in the confines of the track and get up into P7 ahead of Lando Norris. And now Yuma Iwasa, the car ahead, is also struggling as he locks up a little bit. We very nearly go into the back of him going into that chicane. Hopefully now, though, we can do what we did, or what we tried to do on Norris, get the run once again down into this fast right-hander, but Iwasa does the same thing that Norris did to us by absolutely giving us no room at all. But fair enough, we weren't really alongside him. But once again, we just seem to get so much better of a run up this hill alongside Iwasa, just like we did with Norris. Bit more careful on the brakes once again, a little bit more of a difficult move on Iwasa, but we do manage to stay around the outside and get past him. We're now up into P6, so a decent start to this race for us. As on lap 16, we're now coming into the pits, and it is just about time to switch onto a set of intermediate tyres. The rain is dying down a little bit. It is still raining considerably, but the track is drying out with all the cars going around, and with the rain at least subsiding a little bit. So we're on to intermediate tyres now, and we've come in a lap earlier than a few other cars. One of those cars that came in earlier, I believe, was one of those cars that came in later was Albon. He came in the lap after us, and has actually been undercut by Russell in the process. Albon was often the lead of this race, but now Russell has managed to get up into the lead because Piastri also did his pit stop one lap later, so he's lost the position to Russell, and Russell's jumped from third to first in the pits there, and we're actually now up to 5th place ahead of Carlos Sainz in the Red Bull, who also came in a lap later. So we've gained a few more positions here, doing a decent job at the moment. This is my teammate though, Alexander Albon, as now he will be frustrated that Russell is leading this race. Albon not yet to get a podium for my team. I was going to say yet to get a podium at all, but I mean, I guess in the past he did have a few podiums with Red Bull, but he's looking to get his first podium in quite a long time. His first podium since his return to the sport, when he returned with Williams. However, lap 25 and the safety car is out. Yuki Tsunoda is out of the race. What has happened there? Must have been a crash or something, because you don't just get a safety car for one car, retiring out of the race usually. So let's see what happened here. Looking at Yuki Tsunoda around this left-hander, just gets the tail end out a little bit, spins the car around, hits the barrier. So unfortunate for Yuki Tsunoda in Ferrari's, one of two of Ferrari's home Grand Prix. Of course, we'll be going to Monza later in the season, but that is Tsunoda out of this race, and Leclerc may have fought his way back up a little bit here, but he's not doing great either after that grid penalty. So we continue on still in P5 here because nobody ahead of us has had any issues, but now we're right here. Everybody's closed back up again. This could be an opportunity for us as we head down the front straight here, getting a bit of a run on Piastri, but he's also getting the slipstream from Hamilton and so on and so on as we go through turn 1, and we're trying to just be careful. And then my engineer's telling me that Verstappen also has a bit of an issue and he's slow behind me, and that is now evident by the fact that Ayumu Iwasa in the other Aston Martin now going for a move on Verstappen. Iwasa had a pretty good Bahrain. He got pole position in Bahrain, dropped back at the start, but then managed to get back to finish second. Unfortunately, hasn't really, I think he got a third place in the second race of the season, but then hasn't really done much since that point. But now Albon in second place, and what's this? It looks like he might have an issue. Albon might have an issue here as we come up behind him. Yellow flags up ahead. There's smoke coming out of the back of my teammate's car, and that is Alexander Albon, my teammate, out of this race. It was looking like a sure podium here, maybe even a race win. He was right on the back of Russell, but he's out of the race. That is so unfortunate for Alexander Albon. The first retirement for him this series at our team. And with Verstappen still having an issue here, Felipe Drugovich in the Williams has just overtaken Verstappen for P9 in this race. He was already looking to score 1 point with Albon's retirement, but he's now up to P9. This could be Williams' first points of the season and Drugovich's first points in Formula 1, and crucially beating his teammate Logan Sargent right now in Drugovich's rookie season, doing a much better job than Sargent. So what does that mean for Logan Sargent in the future? We'll have to wait and see how he goes for the rest of this season. We were right behind Piastri and Hamilton for these last couple of laps. Piastri at one point looked like he was quicker than Hamilton and was right up his gearbox, but never quite made the move. And then in the last lap, Hamilton managed to keep the gap behind. He finishes P2. Piastri finishes P3. We just miss out on a podium with P4 in this race, but it is a very good recovery drive after a poor qualifying, starting at P10 thanks to some grid penalties. We come back for P4. It's not quite a podium, but it's a better result than I was expecting at the start of the weekend.
It's a performance that our Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix winners can be justifiably proud of, and I'm sure there'll be celebrations tonight. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Rain always has the potential to liven up a race and mix up the order, and they've taken full advantage of that to claim the victory today. It's always a bit of a lottery when the conditions are like this, but they've managed to stay on circuit and have come out on top.
The Aston Martin team will be very happy with today's performance. And of course, the final result. Another display of excellent driving and excellent teamwork. And a well-deserved first-place finish.
Aston Martin and George Russell continue their dominance this season. That is 4 for 4 this season for George Russell. Bit of a shaky start, not managing to get pole position. But once Albon was out of the picture especially, but even before that, he managed to get ahead of him. And yeah, never looked back. Won by a fairly comfortable margin in the end to Hamilton, Piastri and myself. So yeah, that is 4 wins on the bounce for George Russell. He is really taking command of this Drivers' Championship this season, a quarter of the way through the season. He also gets the fastest laps. That's another point to his name. Like I said, we ended up P4 in a bit of a McLaren sandwich, Norris behind, although we did pull away from Norris quite a bit. Didn't seem to quite have the pace of his teammate this race. So good work for Piastri getting what I believe is McLaren's first podium of this season. And yeah, like I said, Drugovich managing P9. Great result for him. First points for him in Formula 1. First points for Williams this season. Also Leclerc at least managing to come back for P8. Not what he would have hoped or what Ferrari would have hoped in one of their home races, but at least he gets 4 points to his name this race. In the Drivers' Championship, yeah, like I said, Russell is really walking away with this at the moment. Somebody needs to, put the charge on him, and Hamilton actually moves up into second place as well, ahead of Iwasa. So it's no longer an Aston Martin 1-2 in the championship, but still a runaway for Russell at the moment. My teammate Albon falls down to 10th, unfortunately, with not scoring any points this round. And in the constructors, well, it's still a considerable margin at the top for Aston Martin. Mercedes in second. We're still hanging on there in third, but it is then really close from Mercedes, myself, McLaren, Ferrari and Red Bull, all really close to each other. So it could be an exciting battle for those final few positions. I mean, we've still got plenty of the season left to go, but let's see if anybody can catch Aston Martin and George Russell. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.